As an Orthodox Hasidic woman, people often ask me if I feel sidelined by my religion. So I'll share just a few of my thoughts with you. I'm reminded of a story of a doting husband who can't understand why his wife is unhappy with him, considering he does so much for her. So he confronts her. She says to him, "Honey, I know you mean well, but instead of buying me another set of movie tickets, if you really want me to be happy, I need you to take out the garbage. Please, can you tune in to my love language?" We often nurture relationships based on our subjective preferences. However, in all of our relationships, beginning with our primary relationship with God, we need to ask ourselves, what does God want from me? How do I best create a relationship with my Creator? How do I become more godly? Frankly, if I had to figure it out on my own, I would have no clue. God created both man and woman, one from Mars, one from Venus, and in his kindness, he didn't leave us guessing. He informed us through the Torah of our respective pathways to connect to him in the most effective manner possible. Is Judaism our subjective creation, or is it divinely inspired? Something to think about. When God created woman, the Torah uses the word vayiven, and God built the woman. The Talmud tells us the word vayiven shares the same Hebrew letters as bina, wisdom. From the moment of feminine inception, women were endowed with an elevated soul, with additional wisdom and spiritual intuition, enabling her to tap into divinity, to navigate her relationship with God in a uniquely inspired manner. The feminine soul is so deeply connected to spirituality that it is exclusively the Jewish woman who passes on the Jewish identity, the Jewish soul to her children. So let's begin by talking about some of the rituals, starting with the fact that as a Jewish woman, I'm not obligated to daven in a minyan in a quorum of 10. Kabbalah teaches us that when a woman prays, her prayers ascend directly to the heavenly spheres. A minyan of 10 is essential for men because a man is required to pray within the context of a community where everybody's mindful prayers together are needed to be able to ascend to the same heavenly space that a woman can naturally reach whilst offering heartfelt prayers alone. In fact, many of the guidelines of prayer were inspired by one of the woman prophetesses named Hannah, mother of Samuel the prophet. These guidelines are a platform that enable both men and women to successfully pray in a manner that aims to elicit a divine response, just like Hannah's prayers did. Do I feel sidelined by not wearing a kippah, talit, tzitzit, tefillin? These mitzvot are connectors, connecting man to his creator. Women were not given those mitzvot, those obligations, because we clearly do not need to perform them if we wish to have a meaningful relationship with God. Whatever intrinsic value that men gain by performing those mitzvot, we already possess. According to Kabbalah, the internal compass and consciousness of a woman never forgets. We do not need the same constant daily external reminders that men need. I personally think it's wonderful that in particular the time-dependent mitzvot are not a requirement for our spiritual journey. I can't imagine the pressure it would place upon women who are multitasking if it was incumbent upon us to perform them. Imagine a mother of a newborn baby having to rush to a morning minyan at the crack of dawn. I've always felt a sense of gratitude that the unpredictable lifestyle of a mother precluded me from various time-dependent obligations, and I'm most appreciative that my life as a woman was so carefully considered within the framework of my religious obligations. Is consideration also given to a woman's opinion? You may recall God's famous words to Abraham, "Everything that Sarah tells you, listen to her voice." Abraham and Sarah were the prototype of a Jewish marriage, where the significance of Sarah's voice was acknowledged and validated by God himself. Before God gave the Torah, he instructed Moses to relay the fundamental principles of the Torah to the woman first. And only after Moses heard the woman undertake to observe and sustain Torah values was Moshe instructed to speak to the men. In doing so, God was informing Moses that the future of the Jewish people would be dependent on the woman's buy-in, on the woman's voice. Our religion is dependent upon the woman's dedication and commitment to Torah principles and our ongoing active involvement in role modeling and teaching Torah values, imbuing them within the hearts of our families. What a magnificent privilege we have. God's instruction to Abraham to listen to his wife is a fundamental principle that is woven throughout Jewish law and practice. A Jewish man is obligated to listen to, validate, respect the voice, the needs of his wife, as stipulated within the ketubah, the marriage document, outlining a man's responsibility to ensure his wife is fulfilled, loved, pleasured, honored, and treated with the utmost of dignity as she deserves to be. It is precisely her role as Eshet Chayil, Ateret Baila, the crown of her husband, the pillar of our religion that is extolled by the man of the home on the holiest day of the week on Friday night before the Kiddush. For thousands of years, whilst other cultures devalued women, Jewish men were publicly reinforcing the woman's multitasking role as mother, wife, and businesswoman, acknowledging who, in fact, really runs the show and who in the family is actually indebted to. The future of our religion lies predominantly within the walls of the Jewish home, not the synagogue. This is where the majority of Jewish practices take place. God entrusted Jewish women with the task of performing 3 of the most important mitzvot. The mitzvah of mikvah, which is the foundation of Jewish family life and Jewish marriage. The mitzvah of Shabbat candles, ensuring that the spirit of the Shabbat and festivals is felt and practiced in our homes. And the mitzvah of challah, encompassing not only tzedakah and chesed, but also all mitzvot related to food, including kashrut. These mitzvot capture the essence of Judaism, and it is the woman who is entrusted with the key to our eternity by perpetuating them within her home. So whilst the tide is definitely changing, and most cultures and religions no longer alienate women and treat them as second class, I personally feel that alongside all the Jewish women throughout the ages, I've been given a first-class ticket. I have never felt a need to embrace any Judaic aspects of men's practices. First of all, I have plenty of my own, and I consider my role as a privilege that I feel so comfortable in. In addition, I try to tune in to God's love language for the feminine soul. So when I'm asked if I feel Judaism is sexist, as a confident, educated, and practicing open-minded Jewish woman and community activist, no less active than my husband, a rabbi, my response is, yes, perhaps it is somewhat sexist. The woman's role far surpasses that of a man's, and in fact, women are considered superior in many respects. But after all, who are we to argue with God?
Click subscribe to see more exclusive content for the most sought-after Jewish speakers, teachers, and thinkers.